Hey guys, HW here. I'm sitting in the park outside Wynyard station. I'll give you a quick look. I'm actually sitting on the grass with a whole bunch of bin chickens. There's one there. So I hope I'm not actually sitting in their poo. I can't see any anywhere, so I'm hoping. But yeah, there's a few other people in the park. All the buses are starting to come into the city. I'm here early today because I've got a bunch of meetings this afternoon, so I thought it's a beautiful sunny day in Sydney today, clear blue sky. So I thought, I've got to get out and do some filming for you. So the plan today is I'm going to walk through probably a few more different streets in Sydney that you haven't seen before. Maybe if you're a tourist you might have stumbled into them occasionally, but I doubt it. When I say what streets those are, they're basically sort of the upper ends of some of the famous streets in Sydney, but I dare say there'd be ones that you wouldn't walk right up like the whole length of them. And what those streets are like the upper end of Kent Street towards Millers Point. I don't think you would be hanging around there as a general tourist in if you come to Sydney, so I'm going to check that out and show you a few locations up there. They're going to get down to Barangaroo, the actual park, not the precinct, because I actually haven't been in that park yet, and so I thought we might capture some nice views of the harbour while we were down there. And then I was going to go through Millers Point a little bit, through a street that I know quite well down there. And yeah, just enjoy the weather while we can before the rain comes again. So yeah, now while I'm sitting in this park, I had to turn the back screen on there, or the front screen. While I'm sitting in the park, I wanted to thank a couple of more gents for shouting HW some nectars. So big shout out to Vince Barbary, who shouted me a few nectars, and also a big shout out to Loco Cafe over in New Zealand. Pat, thanks for all those nectars, man. I think amongst you guys, so Vince, Rogue Mayhem, and you too, Pat over at Logo Cafe, I'm pretty much sorted for nectars for the next month, I think. So I really appreciate it. It's not something that I went out of my way to set up something where I could get donations like a busker on the street. But yeah, look, appreciated. So stick around and let's get around the city together. Cheers. So we just left the park over there. Now we're walking up the opposite direction of York Street. Usually I'm filming coming the other way in the car or walking down. So we're walking the opposite way today because I wanted to show you a few things just up the road here. Here's the Mecure Hotel here. It's pretty popular with the tourists. Remember back in the day, I used to see the tourists come out of there and quickly rush down to Starbucks. There used to be a Starbucks along here somewhere. Oh, there it is. I'm down on the corner down there. You can just see the white writing of the Starbucks logo. This is popular too for ramen. This restaurant here, Goshu Ramen. Never been there, but over lunchtime you come past here and it's always packed. People getting in there to get their ramen. Just about to cross over Jamison Street, in a section of Jamison and York. I'm going to run against the lights here because I just want to get out of here. Someone yelled at me then because I almost got run over. So yeah, there's that beautiful blue sky that we've got today. Here's the building 1 York Street. Try to film up the top for you. This street used to, this building used to be full of employment agents. I remember going in there once for an interview with an employment agent in there. I think I went in there a couple of times. I think at least one of the times I got in there, they referred me on to an employer, and I scored a job. Now this is what I wanted to film just quickly. This tunnel here, it takes you underneath the expressway or the Bradfield Expressway that leads onto the bridge. There's the harbour bridge over there. But I used to ride my bike through here. There was a time where I used to ride my bike into the city. When I used to work in King Street, or on the corner of King and George Street. And I used to ride up here every day and then straight onto York Street. So when the city's busy, or even back in the old days when the city was a lot busier, you'd have cycle couriers riding through here all the time. There's the buildings that back onto Kent Street. Now, as I said, as a tourist, I don't think you'd come up here very often, up this end of town. So I'm hoping that some of you may find it interesting to be up this end of Kent Street rather than closer into the city that you're probably more familiar with. Oh, there goes a cyclist there. Oh, there goes another one. And here comes another one. Gave me a little nod as he came past. This cafe here, I just wanted to film this cafe just quickly, called Cava. That's how you get up to the Harbour Bridge cycleway up there. You can't walk up there, by the way, you've got to be on a bicycle. If you want to walk on the Harbour Bridge, it's on the other side, on the rocks side of the bridge, not this side. But yeah, I'd come riding my bike down there, and then I'd come down this track here and then get up to York Street. But I used to always ride past this cafe, and I always used to notice on a regular basis a really famous Australian businessman, billionaire. I'm not going to mention his name because he's passed away now, and it's probably not the one that you're thinking of, because there's a few different billionaires in Australia. But yeah, he used to be basically sitting on this chair just here, just there. I'd see him sitting there by himself every day when I rode past in the morning. And I used to recognise him because I'd see him in the paper or the Financial Review all the time, so I knew who he was. And I used to just be quite entertained that he'd be sitting there by himself, because I thought these sort of guys that have minders, or at least people that grovel to them, that followed them around. So now that I think of it, as I walk down the upper end of Kent Street up here, I would suspect the reason why he used to choose that coffee shop was, I bet you he used to stay at this hotel across the road here. Which is it this one or is it the next one? No, it's not this one. It's a bit further up. It's called the Langham Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel in Sydney. I think it's a bit further up the road here. I got ahead of myself. That's another hotel in there, I think, or another serviced apartment building called Highgate, but I think the Langham Hotel is a bit further down here. Oh yeah, here it is, coming up to it on the corner up here now. Look at those old sandstone terraces there, big sandstone blocks. Let's harken back to the ye old days of the rocks. Yeah, here's the flags on top of the hotel up here. You know, give it away. Oh, look at that. Beautiful view down the street there to what's it called, White Bay or Walsh Bay, one of those. Oh, there's the Barangaroo Tower there. Yeah, there it is. They've got a doorman standing out the front. That's the 5-star Langham Hotel. Now, if you want an idea how much it costs to stay in there, I had a quick look on the train this morning. It's approximately $665 a night to stay in there. It's a 5-star hotel. Never been in there, so I couldn't tell you what it looks like inside. But yeah, I suspect that's where that billionaire businessman used to stay when he was in Sydney, and then have a nectar down at that coffee shop. Look at these old terraces here. Wow, look at those ones. They've got the old wooden balconies out the front of them. Look at that. See if I can get through here, not get run over. Yeah, look at that. Super old. A lot of these terraces around here used to be government housing too, I think. I don't know whether they still are. But you can imagine back in the day, all of this area would have been filled with blue-collar workers who were working down at the docks, bringing all the goods into Sydney. I hear some other old ones here too. Look at that. Look at those nice ones over there. The Winsbury and Seaforth. Wow. They're absolutely glorious, those ones. Wow. Beautiful. And then we've got the older ones across the road over here again. See, there you go. It's been so long since I've walked down this end of Kent Street. I forgot how much history is down here and how many delightful sights there are. So I'm glad I came down here today. World Cup soccer's on at the moment, as you know, and there's a Brazilian fan over there, living over there by the looks of it. This morning I noted that Australia got off to a brilliant start against France. They had them at 1-0, but then they got absolutely blown off the park. And I think the score ended up 4-1 the last time I saw it anyway. So, yeah, look. Australia is a great sporting nation, but you know, we've only got so many people and we're spread across so many different sports. Like soccer or football is not our main game, right? It's one of many. We've got AFL, we've got rugby union, we've got rugby league. It's hard with our small population to dominate all of them, but we do try our hardest. So give us a break. There's the Captain Cook Hotel. I didn't know there was another Captain Cook Hotel around Sydney. The only one that I know of is the one at Moore Park. on the corner of Anzac Parade and what is it called, Moorpark Road, I think. It's still blowing a gale in Sydney today. So this is the main section that I wanted to film today, because it's got a couple of really historical hotels. Now this is heading down here, this is Argyle Street. Now if you spend a bit of time in the rocks, you'll know Argyle Street. So if you head down past that bus there and get down the hill, you'll be in the rocks. But we're going to head over here today, hopefully. I might as well stay on this side of the road because you get a better view of the hotel. Now this this Lord Nelson Hotel on the corner here is pretty famous because it was both a hotel, pub and brewery, or all three. And I don't know whether they still brew their own booze in there now. I think they've got the brewery out the back. But I see on the corner here they've got Sydney's oldest hotel. Now, I think what's it called, the Fortune of War down at the Rocks would have something to say about that. I think it's the oldest. But there is one thing about this hotel. This one is the oldest licensed hotel. So that means this one has been licensed the whole way along. So it's the oldest licensed one. So I think the Fortune of War might be the oldest, but it probably lost its liquor license at some stage, and that's probably why these guys can call themselves the oldest licensed hotel in Sydney. Look at these old laneways. This is Argyle Lane. Look at that. So you can ride your pushy through there, your push bike. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that laneway. That's amazing. That's just stunning. Look at that. That is a cool laneway. That one too, but this one's super cool. Look, you can get all the way up the road there. Unless that, actually my eyesight's poor. I think there's a gate in between that building at the end, so you probably can't get all the way through. But yeah, as we leave that Lord Nelson Hotel behind, pretty good looking one. Might have to cross the road here to get a good view of the next place I wanted to focus on. I don't know whether this is still called Argyle Street or Argyle Place, one of the two. Yeah, this is the joint that I wanted to film. This always fascinated me even from when I was a child. If I ever drove past here or walked past here, this skinny tall hotel, which is the Hotel Palisade, always fascinated me. Now it's been rebuilt a couple of times. It's always been a hotel on this site, but it was rebuilt again in 1915. And then after that it was it changed to a couple of different hands, and most recently I think in 2017 a British entrepreneur purchased it. It is heritage listed, so there's only so much that you can do to it, but yeah, he refurbished it. So it's always been a hotel, so somewhere where you can stay, eat and drink, and they've maintained that in the new revamped building. I'm not going to go in there today. I'll leave that to you. When you're in Sydney, you can come and have a drink and something to eat here. But at the moment, it's really famous for, I don't know whether you can see up the top there where it says Hotel Palisade. Just behind that is a rooftop bar. And I think it's called the Henry Dean bar up there, rooftop bar. And he was a famous engineer. So apparently back in the day, a lot of the engineers, especially the ones that were, we can't see the bridge from here, but especially some that were working on the harbour bridge when it was being built. Harbour Bridge, finished being built in the early 30s. They used to stay here and drink. So it's got a lot of history, this hotel, and I just love the look of it. So yeah, when you're in Sydney, see if you can get in there and have a drink or something to eat and see what it's like. Tell me what it's like. Now I'm going to head down Dalgety Road. There you go, there's a harbour bridge there, that's how close we are. So they would have stayed there, drunk, eat, and then viewed all the sites over at the harbour bridge to work out how they were going to do it. And that Dean guy that the bar's named after, he's actually, I don't think he's known for anything to do with the harbour bridge. I think he's mainly famous for electrifying the Sydney tram network, when Sydney used to have the old trams like Melbourne does back in the day. They finished up in the 60s. I think the last tram was the La Perouse tram, which ran down Anzac Parade. But now Sydney's got the light rail, so that's sort of a modern replacement for those trams. Now what I'm hoping to do now is to get down to Barangaroo and check out this park that I haven't bothered to look at yet. It's been finished for a while. Look at these old sandstone blocks stuck in the footpath here. These big retaining walls here in sandstone blocks, and then the terrace houses up the top there. They've all been redone, refurbished lately. Wonder what they look like before. It's interesting. I didn't know the park had a big car park underneath it. There you go. Alright, now we're entering into the Barangaroo Park, or the Barangaroo Reserve, whatever you want to call it. I hope I'm walking in the right place. There's all these bicycle signs here. Oh no, there's chairs here. So it must be a shared space for bikes and walking. It's a pretty nice looking park. Nice place to sit out in the sun. There goes a river cat over there. The Evonne Goolagong river cat, named after the famous Australian tennis player of Aboriginal descent who won Wimbledon. Oh, there he goes on his electric bike. He almost ran me over. Good guy. There's the Barangaroo Tower in the background there. Trying to get to the edge over here so that I can point out a few things. Yeah, so this park's probably not a big deal for some of you, because if you do come as a tourist to Sydney, you'll probably stumble across this park pretty quickly. But for me it's big because I haven't been here since it's been completed. So there's Blues Point across the way there. That's Blues Point. If you swim over there, I wouldn't recommend it with all these boats going around, but if you swim over there, you'd get into McMahon's Point, where I filmed that nectar the other day, and right next to it is Lavender Bay, just there, and then Luna Park. The other place of note here is that island just there. That's Goat Island. Now that's got a lot of history. Firstly, as the home of two very famous Aboriginal leaders, Barangaroo, which is what this park's named after, and Bennelong. Bennelong and Barangaroo were married. Barangaroo's the female of the two, Bennelong's the male. Bennelong, he's one of the things he's famous for, apart from being a very famous Aboriginal leader, is he's the only Aboriginal back from the old settlement days. He was one of the only Aboriginal people to travel all the way to Europe and back and come back alive, because you could imagine back in those days they hadn't seen a lot of the delightful viruses the Europeans were carrying around. So it wasn't an easy time to be an Indigenous Australian back in those days, but he made it back. Unfortunately, his wife, Barangaroo, she died giving birth, I think, to his first child, I think. So yeah, that's where they lived at one stage, but then later Goat Island became a penal colony, or a penal sort of prison for convict work gangs. So yeah, actually we should walk down here as well and point out something else. So over there, if you swim across there, that's Balmain. So where that bus is driving up the road there, if you get up that road, you eventually make your way, well, I think they call that East Balmain, and if you keep heading up, you'll head into the main part of Balmain over there. So another easy swim for some of you ocean swimmers out there. So yeah, as we look across at Nelson's Point, North Sydney, and the Harbour Bridge, I'll just quickly switch off the camera and switch it back on when I get to the next place of note. See you soon. Alright, we're just stepping out of Barangaroo now, looking up at those beautiful terraces again up the top of that retaining wall. I'm going to walk straight out onto this roundabout here, so it makes it easier to get across the road. So can I get to the next location? As my phone goes, let's see who this is. Hey man, how you going? Hey. Yeah, I'll ring you back in a sec. Just heading back up Dalgety Rd so I can join the next street that I wanted to head down. I didn't realise there was still so much construction going on at Barangaroo, the actual business and commercial precinct part of it. Obviously we're just in the park, but if you walk up further, you hit the commercial part of it, where the Crown Casino is and all the shops and restaurants underneath. You can see a big construction elevator coming up from the bottom on that side of that building there. I might as well take the opportunity now to mention to you, my videos are all filmed in 4K, so if you want to get the best out of them, get it up on your big screen TV and set it minimum HD, but if you can, if your TV and your bandwidth can handle it, whack it onto 4K. So we're just heading down Windmill Street. Haven't been to Windmill Street for a while, so we're out the back of the Lord Nelson Hotel now. It's probably where back in the day they probably had their part of their brewery, I suppose. But this building's got the telltale signs of being a big storeroom rather than a brewery, so not too sure. Looks like it's an office now. Yeah, I don't know what it is. So some sort of admin office in there. Might be just a set of offices now. Crossing over Kent Street. So this is the end of Kent Street in the city, the intersection of Windmill. So I've been to that cafe over there on that terrace before. I wonder if there used to be a couple of businesses above it. Well, I think they were like advertising agencies and stuff. So should film towards this side. There's a few terraces over here on this side of Windmill Street. I wish I could stay out all day today filming. It's just absolutely stunning. 27 degrees Celsius. I'm walking along in board shorts. I've got a polo shirt on. What's this old sign on this building here? It says Grasco's Wool Store. So yeah, back in the day when Australia used to ride off the sheep's back, as they used to say, we used to sell our wool all over the world. All of these buildings along here were all wool stores. That's why I mentioned that before with that other building. Just would have been stocked full of wool, bundled up, and then a quick skirt down to the wharf to hit the boat, head over to Europe. Sightminder. That rings a bell, that name. I think that's a global tech brand, Sightminder. So always down this end of town, down in Miller's Point, has always traditionally been, other than the old days when there were wool stores, pretty much from the early 90s onwards, a lot of these buildings became advertising agencies and tech companies that moved in to pick up these groovy buildings. Starting to get closer towards the rocks now, so starting to hit a couple of tourists walking around with their maps. Oh, look at this old door here. That's pretty cool. Got a bit of lead-like glass in it. And what's this? This is an old intercom system. Flat 2, flat 2A, flat 3. Fuck, it's super old. Can you hear them renovating in there? Tell you what, I hope I get my Rode microphone back soon. Having this handheld microphone is just sucking the juice out of the battery. I'm almost, just from this little skirt, I'm almost empty. I'm gonna have to stop and change the battery. So nice little terraces across the road there as well. Goes a helicopter. Oh, here we go. He's the hero of Waterloo restaurant. So it's got some delightful outdoor seating as well. Ivan Nelson, the licensee. Mate, look at that sky, will you? Why would you why would you want to be anywhere else in the world but Sydney right now? Just delightful spring weather. Just cruising the streets. Gonna have a nectar soon if I get a chance. As long as I don't get harassed on the phone. So yeah, as I point the camera up at Observatory Hill, that's Observatory Hill up there, and we can see all the construction going on at Barangaroo. I will just quickly switch off the camera here, and then I'll rejoin you again when I'm walking up George Street, and we'll try to find a nectar. Oh, look at that delightful jacaranda tree there. So have a look at the jacaranda video if you haven't yet. So see you again soon. Hold on for the HW nectar. Hey guys, so we're in this delightful little coffee shop just across the park from where I started the video before, and I'll show you when I leave. But have a look at the size of the coffee. I asked for a flat white. Look at the size of it. It's like a bucket, but it's quite a delight in here in Bonnie. I'll show you where it is when I go outside. But yeah, thanks again to Vince Barbary, Pat over at Logo Cafe, and Rogue Mayhem for all these nectars. Much appreciated. So stick around and I'll show you the outside of this and tell you how to get to this delightful coffee shop when I leave. So I've just stepped out of that Bonnie Coffee, so apologies, couldn't film in there a bit longer, but it was so noisy and so busy in there that I thought I'd wait to come out here before I did some more talking. So we're actually out the back of this old Presbyterian church here. And there's two coffee shops underneath. One's Bonnie. Bonnie's part of a small chain. They've got another one in Melbourne, but it is a delight, Bonnie. I've been to the Melbourne one as well. So yeah, look, when you're in Sydney and you're in Margaret Street, I think this is 44 Margaret Street, this is what Bonnie Coffee looks like on the outside. And then just up the road there's Cafe Portico, which is quite popular as well. So literally next door, and I'll give you a look in this as I go past. So that's Cafe Portico in there. There's a sign for it. I had to quickly dodge out of the way there because the woman sitting there didn't look like she was too keen on getting filmed. So yeah, Margaret Street. So remember that, at the back of this old building here. I think I called it a Presbyterian church, but I think it was, I'm not sure. But yeah, this old sandstone building on the corner of Margaret Street, you'll find Portico and Bonnie Coffee. So there's two options for you for nectar when you're in Sydney. I'm going to cross over the road here again, back to the park where we started the little skirt today. This is York Street. There's one of the big yellow double-decker buses that two places they come from. They either come from the northern beaches or they come from the northwest of Sydney. So two places you can jump on a double-decker bus in Sydney. So yeah, as I get ready to step back into Wynyard Station across the road there, I'll thank you for coming on the walk around Sydney with me today. Just like this week, I think I might put 2 videos up this week because I've got a Oxford Street video waiting in the wings. So I'll put the Oxford Street video up after this one probably. So make sure you always check the rest of my videos because you may be missing some. So yeah, thanks. See you again soon. The video is over.